This is not one of those videos where I entertain you while your brain stays asleep. No, if you're here to feel good, leave, because this is about truth, and truth doesn't care about your comfort. I need your full attention. No distractions, no scrolling, no half listening, because what I'm about to explain is the reason your life looks exactly the way it does. Today, we're talking about something most people never understand: how your brain creates your reality. Now listen carefully. Your reality is not just what happens. It's what your brain allows you to see. Here's a real fact. Your brain receives millions of bits of information every second, but you only become aware of a tiny fraction. Why? Because your brain filters everything. This filter is called the reticular activating system, RAS, and it decides what you notice and what you ignore. Now think about how insane that is. You're not seeing reality. You're seeing a filtered version of it. Let me give you an example. You buy a new car. Suddenly, you see that same car everywhere. Did the world change? No, your filter changed. Now apply that to your life. If your brain is focused on problems, you will see problems everywhere. If your brain is focused on opportunities, you will see opportunities. Same world, different reality. Now here's where it gets dangerous. Your brain filters based on beliefs, not truth, beliefs. So if you believe, nothing works for me, your brain will prove it. It will show you every failure, every setback, every mistake, and ignore everything else. Now let that sink in. You are not reacting to reality. You are reacting to a version your brain created. Now here's another fact. Your brain predicts your reality before it happens. This is called predictive processing. Instead of just reacting, your brain is constantly guessing what comes next, based on past experience. So what happens? You don't experience life fresh. You experience patterns, repeated. Now think about this. If your past was full of failure, your brain expects failure, so it prepares you for it. You hesitate, you doubt, you hold back, and then when it happens, you say, "See, I knew it." That's not reality. That's programming. Now here's the brutal truth. Your brain would rather be right than be successful. It wants to confirm your beliefs, even if those beliefs are destroying you. Now let me ask you something honestly. What do you expect from your life? Not what you say, what you actually expect. Because your expectations are shaping what you see, what you notice, what you act on. Now here's the shift. If you don't control your mind controls your reality. Now what do? First, become aware of your filter. What are you constantly focusing on? Problems or opportunities? Second, challenge your beliefs. Not everything you think is true. Most of it is repeated. Third, change your focus intentionally, because what you focus on expands. Now here's the reality. Most people won't do this, because it requires awareness, and effort, and honesty. But if you don't, you will keep living the same life, thinking it's reality, when in reality, it's just your brain. Now let's go deeper, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. Your brain is not just filtering reality, it's manipulating it, constantly, without you noticing. Here's a real fact. Your brain doesn't care about truth. It cares about efficiency. That means it doesn't show you what's real. It shows you what's useful for survival. And useful often means familiar, not accurate. Now think about that. You're not living in truth. You're living in a version of reality your brain thinks is safe. Now here's where it gets dangerous. Your brain deletes information, literally deletes it. This is called sensory gating. Out of millions of inputs, your brain removes almost everything. So what you see, what you hear, what you notice, is already heavily edited. Now let that sink in. You're reacting to a reality that has been cut down, filtered, and shaped before you even become aware of it. Now here's another mechanism. Your brain distorts information. Example, two people go through the same situation, same words, same environment, same moment. One sees opportunity, the other sees threat. Why? Because the brain doesn't show facts. It shows interpretation. Now here's the brutal truth. You are not reacting to what happens. You are reacting to what you think it means. And that meaning comes from your past, your beliefs, your patterns. Now let's go even deeper. Your brain also fills in gaps. There are moments, where your brain literally makes things up to complete the picture, not consciously, automatically. This is why people remember things differently. Why two people can argue about the same event and both believe they're right, because their brains created slightly different realities. Now think about how insane that is. You can be 100% convinced about something that isn't even accurate. Now here's another fact. Your brain is biased toward negativity. This is called the negativity bias. You remember negative events stronger. You focus on problems faster. You react more emotionally to bad things. Why? Because your brain is built for survival, not happiness. So what happens? Even if 9 things go right and 1 thing goes wrong, your brain focuses on the one. Now let that sink in. Your reality feels worse. Not because it is worse, but because your brain is wired that way. Now here's the brutal part. If you don't control this, you will live in a distorted reality. You'll see more problems than opportunities, more risk than potential, more failure than progress. And you'll think, this is just how life is. No, that's how your brain is showing it to you. Now let me ask you something honestly. How many times did you assume something negative without having full information? How many times did you overthink something that wasn't even real? That's your brain creating a version of reality that doesn't actually exist. Now here's the shift. You need to question your perception. Not everything you see, not everything you think, is accurate. Now what do? First, pause your reactions. Don't react instantly, because instant reactions equals programming. Second, ask yourself, is this actually true, or is this my interpretation? Third, look for alternative explanations. Train your brain to see more than one perspective, because the moment you realize your brain is not showing you reality, you gain control. Now here's the reality. Most people never reach this level. They trust every thought, every reaction, every feeling, and that's why they stay stuck in the same version of reality their brain created years ago. Now think about that, because that means something simple. If you don't control your mind, you don't control your life. Now this is where it gets really dangerous, because your brain doesn't just filter reality, it predicts it before it even happens. Yeah, you think you're reacting to life, but most of the time, you're reacting to a prediction. Here's a real scientific concept. Predictive processing. Your brain is constantly guessing what will happen next, based on past experience. Not sometimes, all the time. So instead of seeing things fresh, your brain is running patterns. Old data, old memories, old outcomes. Now think about this. If your past is full of hesitation, your brain expects hesitation. If your past is full of failure, your brain expects failure. If your past is full of avoiding things, your brain expects you to avoid again. So what happens? You don't act freely. You act according to prediction. Now here's where it hits. Your brain prepares your body. Based on that prediction, you feel doubt before anything even goes wrong. You feel stress before anything even happens. You hesitate before you even start. That's not reality. That's your brain telling your body, this is what's coming. Now let me ask you something honestly. How many times did you feel nervous about something that didn't even happen yet? How many times did you overthink, and then nothing actually went wrong? That's predictive processing. Your brain creating a future that doesn't exist yet. Now here's the brutal truth. You are not living in the present. You are living in predicted scenarios. And most of those predictions are negative. Why? Because your brain is designed to protect you, not to make you successful. So it prepares for the worst. Always. Now think about how dangerous that is. You can sabotage yourself before you even start. You don't try fully. You don't push all the way. You don't take the risk. Not because you can't, but because your brain already told you, this won't work. Now let that sink in. You're not failing in reality. You're failing in your mind, before reality even begins. Now here's another real fact. Your brain strengthens predictions through repetition. So every time you hesitate, every time you doubt, every time you avoid, you reinforce the prediction. Now next time, it comes faster, stronger, more convincing. Now think about this. You're literally training your brain to expect failure, and then you wonder why you don't move forward. Now here's where it gets even deeper. Your brain also rewards prediction accuracy. That means it feels good when it's right, even if it predicted something negative. So when you say, "I knew this would happen," your brain reinforces that pattern. Now let that hit. Your brain would rather be right about something negative than wrong about something positive. That's why people stay stuck. Now let me ask you something real. How often do you expect things to go wrong? How often do you assume failure before even trying? Because that expectation is shaping your behavior. Now here's the shift. You need to break the prediction. First, notice it. Catch the thought before it becomes action. Second, question it. Ask, is this based on fact or just my past? Third, act anyway, because action interrupts prediction. Now here's the reality. This will feel uncomfortable because you're going against your programming. But that's exactly the point. Now let me be direct. If you keep trusting your predictions, you will stay in the same life because your brain will keep recreating what it already knows. So the real question is simple. Are you living your life or are you just replaying it? Because right now, you already know the answer. Now let's go even deeper, because this is where most people get trapped for years without even realizing it. Your brain is not just predicting reality. It's limiting it on purpose, not because it wants to destroy you, but because it wants to keep you safe. And safety is the enemy of growth. Now think about this carefully. Your brain's main job is survival, not success, not freedom, not growth. Survival. So anything that feels uncertain, anything new, anything unpredictable gets flagged as danger, even if it's actually an opportunity. Now let that sink in. You can be standing in front of something that could change your life, and your brain reacts like it's a threat. Now what happens next? You hesitate, you overthink, you delay, you pull back, and then you tell yourself, it's not the right time. I need to think more. I'm not ready yet. No, that's your brain protecting you from something it doesn't understand. Now here's a real fact. Your brain prefers known pain over unknown outcomes. Read that again. Known pain, even if it's bad, even if you hate it, because at least it's predictable. Now think about your life. Same habits, same routines, same patterns. Even if you don't like them, why do you stay there? Because your brain knows it. Now imagine stepping into something new. More responsibility, more pressure, more uncertainty. Your brain goes, danger, even if it's exactly what you need to grow. Now here's where it gets brutal. You are not being held back by your environment. You are being held back by your internal safety system. And that system is outdated. It was built based on your past, your experiences, your patterns, not your potential. Now think about how dangerous that is. You're making decisions today based on an old version of reality. Now let's go deeper. Your brain also creates invisible limits. Limits like, I'm not that type of person. I can't do that. That's too much for me. But here's the truth. Those are not facts. Those are boundaries your brain created, and you accepted them. Now let me ask you something honestly. How many things have you never even tried? Because you already decided you can't do them? That's not reality. That's limitation. Now here's another fact. Your brain is extremely efficient at keeping you inside your comfort zone. It creates excuses, logical ones, convincing ones. I need more time. I'll start later. I need to prepare more. Sounds smart, but leads to the same result. No action. Now let that sink in. Your brain is not stopping you directly. It's convincing you to stop. Now here's the brutal truth. You are not stuck because life is hard. You are stuck because your brain is keeping you small, and you're letting it. Now think about this. Every time you listen to that voice, that hesitation, that doubt, you reinforce it. Now next time, it gets stronger, faster, more automatic. Now you don't even question it. You just follow it. Now here's the shift. You need to go against it. Not sometimes. Consistently. First, recognize the signal. When something feels uncomfortable, that's not always danger. That's often growth. Second, stop trusting your first reaction, because your first reaction comes from your past. Third, act anyway, even when it feels wrong, because new behavior always feels unnatural at the beginning. Now here's the reality. Most people will never do this, because it requires something rare. Courage. Not loud courage. Quiet. Consistent. Daily courage. Now let me be direct. If you keep listening to your brain's safety system, you will never grow beyond it. You will stay in the same life, same patterns, same limits, not because you can't do more, but because you didn't allow yourself to. Now think about that, because that means something simple. Your biggest limitation is not outside, it's inside your head, and until you break that, nothing changes. Now this is where it gets dangerous, because at this point, your brain is not just limiting you, it's making you sabotage yourself. And the worst part? You don't even notice it. You think, I just need more time. I'm not ready yet. I'll do it later. No, that's not thinking. That's self-sabotage. And it feels logical. That's why it works. Now here's a real fact. Your brain avoids cognitive overload. Too much pressure. Too much responsibility. Too much uncertainty. It shuts you down. Not slowly. Instantly. Now what does that look like? You procrastinate. You distract yourself. You do something easier. Not because you're lazy. Because your brain is trying to reduce pressure. Now think about this. Every time something matters, you feel resistance. That's not random. That's your brain protecting you from stress. Now here's the problem. Everything that matters comes with pressure. So if your brain avoids pressure, you avoid progress. Now let that sink in. You're not avoiding work. You're avoiding growth. Now here's where it gets brutal. You don't just avoid things. You replace them. You scroll. You watch. You consume. You stay busy, but not productive. And your brain loves that, because it gives you the feeling of doing something, without the stress of actually doing it. Now think about how dangerous that is. You feel like you're moving forward, but you're standing still. Now here's another fact. Your brain is addicted to instant reward, dopamine. So what happens? Long-term goals feel boring, slow, heavy, but quick actions, scrolling, checking, watching, feel good immediately. So your brain pulls you toward them, again, and again, and again. Now let me ask you something honestly. How many times did you choose something easy over something important? Not once, many times. And every time, you made it easier to do it again. Now here's where it hits. You trained your brain to sabotage your own progress. Now next time, it doesn't even ask. It just does it. Now here's something deeper. You also sabotage yourself to protect your ego, because if you don't try fully, you can't fully fail. Now think about that. You hold back, just enough. So you always have an excuse. I didn't really try. I wasn't fully focused. I could have done better. That's not protection. That's self-sabotage. Now here's the brutal truth. You are not failing because you can't succeed. You are failing because you're not fully committing, and your brain is helping you stay in that safe zone. Now let me ask you something real. When was the last time you actually went all in? No distraction, no delay, no backup excuse. Exactly. Now here's the shift. You need to break the pattern. First, recognize the sabotage. Not after. In the moment. Second, call it out. This is not thinking. This is avoidance. Third, act anyway. Immediately. Because action is the only thing that breaks the loop. Now here's the reality. This will feel uncomfortable, heavy, even forced. But that's exactly how you know you're doing the right thing. Now let me be direct. If you keep following your brain's easy path, you will stay exactly where you are. Same habits, same patterns, same results. Not because you're weak, but because you never took control. Now think about that. Because that means something simple. You are not stuck. You are repeating. Now this is where everything comes together. No more concepts. No more explanations. Just reality. Your brain creates your reality. Not in a magical way. In a practical, brutal way. Through what you focus on. What you repeat. What you allow. Every single day. Now think about this carefully. You wake up, and your brain already has patterns ready. Thoughts. Reactions. Expectations. And without noticing, you follow them. Same thinking. Same behavior. Same outcome. And then you say, this is just how life is. No, this is how your brain is running your life. Now let that sink in. Because that means something very simple. If your patterns don't change, your life doesn't change. Not slowly. Not later. It stays the same. Now here's the brutal truth. You are not seeing reality as it is. You are seeing reality as you are. Your beliefs shape your focus. Your focus shapes your actions. Your actions shape your results, and then your results reinforce your beliefs. That's the loop. Now think about how powerful that is. You can be stuck in the same life for years, not because nothing changed, but because you didn't change how you see it. Now here's the part that hits hardest. You already know where you're limiting yourself. You feel it. Every time you hesitate, every time you doubt, every time you avoid something you should do. That's your brain, not reality. Now let me ask you something honestly. How many opportunities did you ignore because your brain told you this won't work? How many times did you hold back because something felt uncomfortable? That's not life stopping you. That's your mind. Now here's the shift. You don't need to change your entire life. You need to change how you respond. Because the moment you act differently, you break the pattern. And the moment you break the pattern, your brain has to adapt. That's how reality changes. Not by waiting, by acting. Now here's the truth. This is not easy, because your brain will fight you. It will pull you back. It will tell you, stay where it's safe. But safe is exactly why you're stuck. Now let me be direct. If you keep listening to that voice, you will stay in the same life. Forever. Same patterns, same limits, same results. Not because you can't do more, because you didn't. Now think about this. The next time you feel resistance, that hesitation, that voice telling you to stop, that's the moment. Not later, not tomorrow, that exact second. That's where your reality changes, or stays the same. Now here's the final truth. You are not controlled by the world. You are controlled by your perception of it. And perception is built in your mind. So if you don't control your mind, you don't control your life. Simple, brutal, real. Now the question is simple. Are you going to keep living in the same mental loop? Or are you finally going to break it? Because both paths are clear, both outcomes are predictable, and both are in your hands.